Picture start. Thank you. Even with my broken. Hey, Frederick. I can say mine are bigger than yours. Oh, look, he's leaving. He's like, well, if it's that kind of party, I'm out of here. He plays a guitar now. If you play that guitar, I'll be so impressed, Frederick. He looks at when I say his name now. Who came up with the name Frederick? Yes. See, Nate, you now have friends. Oh, he's gonna try to outstage me now. Anyway, did somebody just ask me a question or there?
Have you ever been in any hentai?
I have never done hentai, but I've done something that's very ecchi. Well, actually, I've done several shows now that are very ecchi. I don't have the kind of voice that would be needed for a hentai. And the kind that it would be needed for, I wouldn't want to be involved in. Because I have a little kid's voice. So, but I did do a show called Dragon Knight, Wheels of Time, and this is why this is funny, because I didn't know it was a dirty show. My poor mom gets dragged into all these stories. We decided to watch it one night at my house. Frederick's back there messing with the volume. No. Oh no, he's back. So we decided to just watch this, and I didn't know that this was a really, really dirty show. And again, hey, come in. He really wants to be on stage. Aww. He said, I'm no pigeon, I'm a turkey. That's awesome. So I learned that it was a dirty show with my mom in the room. More recently, I worked on a show called Heaven's Lost Property, which we call Heaven's Lost Panties, because there's actually a herd of flying panties at one point in the show. I make a robot, it's a panty bot. I make this robot out of panties, and then later in the second season it turns into, did he leave again? Bye, Frederick. If he poops on me, they say it's good luck, so. That's so funny. He's like, where do I go? There's so many choices. But that panty bot turns into a motorcycle and he rides away on it. So, working on that show, I had a bad Facebook moment. There is a scene in the second series where he puts a pair of underwear over his face and pretends he's a wrestler, and they call him Mask Do Pants. And to record that day, they actually made me wear a pair of new, purple panties over my face, which originally they were going to auction them off for charity, get Greg Ayers panties, which is really weird. But they did make me wear panties on my face. Well, somebody took a picture of it, and I put it on my Facebook and said, just another day at the office. I forget that I used to work at a law firm, and there's a lot of stuffy people that are still on my Facebook from that time period. And this woman who was a legal secretary just gave me the what for. And the next day I posted, I said, well, apparently my job is NSFW, my job is not safe for work. So, yeah, I have to watch what I put on Facebook. I get in trouble for my Facebook posts, yeah. What do I think about? Oh, Gal from Navarino. I have hair envy of Gal, actually. He's got this perfectly pointy, curly hair, and even though it's black, every time I sign one, I'm like, oh, if I could only get my hair to do what yours does. I think he's really neat. They jokingly call me Tatum's little boyfriend in that show because it's Michael Tatum and I, and he follows that character around like a shadow. I love it because it was, my friend Monica Rial directed the show, and it was one of the first times they really cut her loose and let her do what she wanted with the show. She had done a few other shows where she had picked up and taken the second season of a show. Of a show. Oh, I thought she was talking to me, I'm sorry. But that was one where they just said, you do it from scratch, and she did a great job on it. We call it the Gay Samurai Show. We have all kinds of funny names for it, but we have funny names for all the shows. I'm gonna probably butcher this again. Utawari Romano. We call Underwater Ray Romano because nobody could say the name of that show. Full Metal Panic had a million bad names. Heaven's Lost Property became Heaven's Lost Panties. Burst Angel became Breast Angel. Like, it just kind of is a running theme for shows. But yeah, I love Nabari. It's a very cute show. To be such a violent show at times, it's so beautifully animated. Like that's one of the things that I like about Dead Man Wonderland too. It's all this gore and violence, and it's meticulously and beautifully color-wise, beautifully animated. So that's one of the things about Nabari that definitely stands out about working on it. When we first started looking at it, I was like, who did this show? It's really different looking. I know who's next. There are people heading backstage. Who's got, she asked, what do I think Kaoru's best moment in Oran? I think it's the same thing that I enjoyed the most about Oran. I'm gonna probably butcher it. It's episode 14 where he's narrating when you find out about the twins, basically, when you find their whole backstory. Maybe it's earlier than that, I can't remember the exact, but I love when you find out why they are the way they are, when they find out about their parents never being around and the maid stealing from, I really liked that moment in the show, and I loved recording it because there was no flaps to match, so I just talked, it's just the narration part of it. I like that because the twins get kind of fan serviced out a lot in that show. They become the yaoi thing, or they just simplify who those characters are a lot. And I like that episode because you really find out that they're very three-dimensional and they're real people and they've got a whole backstory. And I think the only other person like that is Honey. It happens to Honey too in the show. A lot of people just, tag Honey as the cute, silly, teddy bear toting. And then you find out later there's a lot more going on with Honey. I don't know how much time we have. I know there's people waiting, so, yeah. Huh? Any tips? Yes. This is something I get asked a lot. Act. The most important part of the word voice actor is actor. And acting in anything, stage, film, any chance you have to perform, seize that opportunity. I just did a convention with Bill Rogers, who's the new voice of Ash on, he's the new voice of Brock on Pokemon. And he said that he can judge where he was in, when he watches old shows, he can tell where he was in his theater career just by how it sounds. There are a lot of people that will try to sell you a book on voice acting or some crappy class that's $1,000. None of us got into this business doing that. We were just actors. We were actors in plays and doing crappy radio commercials. Buy a Nissan Sentra. I'm the Nissan Sentra guy in Houston.